There's a lot of ringers. I feel like there's like 2, 3 professional people here who tell stories all the time, so this sucks, don't worry. So I thought a long time, like a week or so, about whether or not I was going to get up and tell a story because, you know, I thought maybe I might want to date someone in Philadelphia, and once you hear the story, it's all going to be over. It's going to be over, I'm pretty sure. So this story happened when I was an undergrad. I'm not going to say how long ago that was, but most of my friends did not have cell phones, just to give you a heads up, right? And I was home for fall break-ish. I don't really remember. I'm from the downstate of upstate New York, just above the Pennsylvania border, and it's about, I don't know, 4.5 hours drive from here. And fall break is over. I'm about to head back to college. Now I came down here for college, and my parents live at the end of this road. And when I left, the road teased. You can make a right or you can make a left, right? You can right or left. If you go right, you come back to Villanova, where I went to undergrad. If you go left, you go to Pittsburgh. So, it's 5 hours in the not so right direction. So when I was at Villanova as, I guess, a junior-ish, I was dating this fabulous guy, and he was really great. He got into law school at Pittsburgh. And I was sitting there at the end of my parents' block thinking, Pittsburgh is not that far away. So maybe I could just make a quick detour to Pittsburgh and then come right back to Villanova, right? It was totally not out of the way. So I sit there, I'm like a couple minutes thinking about right or left. So I make the left, of course, because otherwise this wouldn't be a story if I came back to Villanova. And I'm driving there 5 hours. Oh, I should say that when he went to law school, we decided long-distance relationships did not work out, and so we weren't going to go our separate ways. But unfortunately, that worked out really well because we talked on the phone about every day. So I made the 5-hour trek to Pittsburgh, and I knew where he lived in Pittsburgh, so I was going to like do a drive-by, right? Just like look in the window, right, hi, and then keep it moving right to Villanova, right? No stop, no whatever. So I did. I pulled out on the street. I know what you all are thinking, right? Stalker. So I pulled up on the street, and I'm like, oh, what do I do now? So I was like, oh, it's okay. He's never gonna know I was here. So I'm about to pull away, and you know those houses with the big front picture window, right? He had one of those in his apartment, and I'm about to pull away, and what do I see but him standing in the picture window like, hey! Oh, what are you doing here? Let's go visit. So I get out of the car, and his like aunt's there, and his cousin, because they were touring some school in the vicinity of Pittsburgh, whatever. And we're hanging out, we go out to dinner. I knew the aunt, you know, because we had dated for a year or whatever. And about 45 minutes later, he was like, so, I have this friend from law school, do you mind if she kind of like hangs out with us? And he's like, no, I don't mind. Wow, that was so fast. And so, I was like, sure, come on, she can hang out. So she hangs out, and it's like 5 hours later. And I had a lot of work to do, and we were like, oh, we should just go to the library. It's law school, everybody studies, right? So I was studying there. And then it's like 11 o'clock at night, and it's too late to go back to Villanova. So I was thinking, maybe I could just, you know, crash on the couch or something, you know, hang out. So yeah, that totally happened, and we went back to his house, and she came back to the house with us. I put on my PJs and some sweats or something like that. And well, I didn't actually end up sleeping on the couch. She had like a big king-size bed and like one of those big recliner chairs that's about the size of a twin size. And he was like, you know what? You guys sleep on the king-size mattress and I'll sleep in the big cushy chair. It'll be great. So that happened, and we're sitting there, and this is like the most awkward point, and you can imagine, because at this point I realized, like, if she's staying overnight, she's not just like the friend from law school, so I have to like totally play this cool, like, oh yeah, I'm the really cool friend who just showed up to visit. And 45 minutes later, after like I couldn't sleep and obviously she couldn't sleep, she was like, hey, can I ask you a question? So, what's the nature of your relationship with person X? I won't say names. And I was like, oh, we've been friends, you know, it's really great, whatever. So I spend the night not sleeping, and the first like glimpse of light comes through the window, and I like get in the shower, get changed, and burst out the door, get in my car, and I'm like blazing towards Philadelphia, of course. I head through the tunnel, because if anybody's been to Pittsburgh, you know there's like 8 million tunnels. And as I'm driving through the tunnel, it's kind of dark on the inside. There's this car behind me, like flashing its lights and whatever, blah, 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 trying to get me to pull over. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I pull over, and this is about the time that Alicia Keys' first CD comes on, and like that whole last part of the CD is completely depressing songs, and I'm like bawling in my car. Like, I really realized, damn it. And so I pull over my car, and it turns out it was him. He had kind of left her there in his room. It was like, oh, I totally fucked that one up, and I really meant it to be you. So let's start again.